And we're very lucky to be joined live in studio this morning by a former Navy SEAL, an author, and entrepreneur, Tom Shea, here to tell us about your new book, Unbreakable, The Navy SEAL's Way of Life. Tom, this book came out of an interesting place. Why don't you tell us where the idea of the book came from?
The idea was I was in charge of a SEAL platoon in 2009. And we were going to Afghanistan, and my wife, Stacy, had asked me to write down what I wanted to pass on to my kids in case I died. But I survived, so.
And we're all very happy that you did. What was that like, though? I imagine as a SEAL going into combat, you know there's a chance that you might not survive. Was it different facing that, writing it on the page and kind of facing it head on?
Well, it's actually harder for me to write because I'm old enough to say this now, but I'd failed out of West Point in English, and writing was harder than going into combat. So the writing this stuff down was difficult because it was not my forte.
So is it safe to say you never would have been a Navy SEAL if you had gotten through English at West Point? You would have been a Ranger?
We wouldn't be here now. Yeah.
There you go. Well, the book is very interesting because these are lessons that you would leave your kids that would be growing up without a father. Right. What type of lessons did you leave in the book?
There ended up being 13 lessons. I don't know why it was 13. I just stopped at 13. One lesson was, how to discover how far you can push yourself. And lesson 3 is to walk for 24 hours without stopping. And there's been about 15 companies that I've been involved with that we've done that lesson.
Yeah, you've walked for the 24 hours.
You really learn why things fall apart. It's usually not physical. It's usually you talk yourself out of it. And we developed a company out of teaching people what's behind quitting. So what would your life be like if you learned not to quit? So that's what you learn in walking for 24 hours, is not quitting.
Well, it's so interesting how your book has taken a life on its own. You didn't write it as a book. You wrote it as lessons for your children. Luckily, their father came home, so they can still put the lessons to use like all of us can. But this thing kind of took off. It went viral. You went from a private publisher who sold 23,000 of these books. You got picked up by a big name in the publishing industry. Why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah, we literally printed it out in copy paper and had a couple people read it, and then we decided to print in a real book format 5 copies. And that publisher that took us on, just does it for pay.
Right.
And then all of a sudden it was on Amazon. I don't know how it got there. Then we had to print more, and then we started speaking about it and going on programs like this. And Little Brown and Company picked it up, and now we're relaunching it.
True success story. I mean, you go on Amazon, you search Unbreakable under books. It's the top one there. You can get it at Barnes & Noble. And if you go to Barnes & Noble today at the Shops and River Crossing, you might actually see Tom. You're going to be doing book signings today at Barnes & Noble and at Mercer University.
Right, yes.
Outstanding. Well, Tom, what's it been like getting this feedback? I mean, you're looking at taking one step in walking 24 hours straight in a very different perspective than most of us. You were doing that in a scenario where your life literally on the line. What's it like getting the response from the business world, getting response from parents who are using these lessons?
Well, what I'd said earlier is I don't think a lot of people really know what's available in their life if they don't quit. So what's really going on that causes quitting? So we've designed a program how to learn how not to quit. And think of all the things that you do in your life that quit on. You quit on the diet, you quit on yourself, you quit on business. What would it take to take one more step? So we teach people how to do that. And everybody quits, so there's a lot of market space for that.
There you go. Yeah. Perfect. Well, Tom, thank you for your service to our country, and thank you for the lessons that you left for your children, but that all of us can get a lot of use of. All of us can go a lot further if we just keep on walking.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.